What's up guys, I'm Newbie Dave and today we're taking a world tour. Let's get started. So how's it going y'all? Hope you're having a great week. I have been looking forward to this world tour for so long. A lot of people have been asking for it and I've been wanting to do it. I was hoping to make it to episode 50 and I felt just a little bit shy, but that's just how the timing worked out on things. And so I've got to do it now because we're moving next week and I'm not going to have time for the next couple of weeks. So the whole point of a world tour is to just go around the world and show off everything that you've done so far. And I'm not going to be going in any particular order. Like, I'm not going to start with episode 1 and then episode 2 and episode 3 and work my way up through the builds. I'm just going to go around the base, but I'm going to try to kind of label which episode each thing that I'm showing off kind of happened in. And keep in mind that there were some episodes where we just went exploring or just went caving or just added on to something that was already there. So we're not going to have all 48 episodes accounted for. And hopefully we don't miss anything, because I've really enjoyed this series and I'm really proud of everything that we've accomplished, everything we've built, and I certainly don't mean to miss anything. So if I do, I apologize, and please point out in the comments. So let's get started right here where it all began, on our starter hill. This is where we spawned into the world at the very beginning. Right over here where the dragon's egg is, this is the world spawn. If you remember at the very beginning, I marked the world spawn by just kind of digging out in the ground a little bit so we know where it was. And once we defeated the Ender Dragon, I came back and kind of turned it into a trophy stand for the dragon egg. And so this is where it all began. I remember spawning into the world right here and looking around at the ocean, at the desert, at the landscape, and thinking, yeah, this is a good spot. This is a good seed. And I am really happy with this world. I've gotten so lucky. I've really loved the layout of the environment, and I've done most of my outros right here on this hill because I just love this spot. I love the view with the mountains behind it. You get a good view of the base, and you may have noticed there's been a little chest back here on the hill that I've never opened during the entire series, and it's time to reveal what's in this secret chest. This is my chest of firsts. So this was my very first wooden pickaxe that we crafted in the world in order to start mining stone so we could build some better tools and really get going. This was the very first wheat that I harvested after planting those seeds in the first episode, my very first diamond that I mined up, and my very first fishing rod that I used in my little AFK, I guess it wasn't really an AFK fish pond, but the little fish pond that I made over there to kind of pass the time while waiting on all that wheat to grow, because we were starting off with nothing and we needed some food, and I planted some wheat over there, which I'll get to in a little bit. And to just pass the time, I did some fishing, and so that was my very first fishing rod. So this is just, I don't know, it's kind of nostalgia. I like kind of holding on to some of these first items and coming back at the end of the game and being like, oh yeah, I remember that. Right below this thing was really our very first home. This is where I took shelter for the night. There used to be a bed in here, a couple chests, a little furnace. I've since cleared it out because now I actually have a home, but I left it dug out so we could come back and just sort of reminisce. Yeah. So right over here next is our beacon. We constructed this thing after defeating the Wither, and right now I have, I think, speed 2? Yeah, I've got the speed 2 power on this thing, and that's what's letting me just run around at ridiculous speeds around my base. And just for fun, because I had the resources to do it, I built each level of this thing out of a different resource. And yes, each level is completely made up of that resource. It's not like secretly iron in the middle where you can't see it. That is one full level of emerald, one full level of gold, diamond, and iron on the bottom. And then over here is just a chest where I keep some of the iron ingots, so if I ever want to deactivate the power or reactivate it, I've got some iron right there to feed it with. So this beacon has been great. I love the power up that I get from it. It's just annoying that you get these stupid little particles surrounding you at all times, especially when you're trying to do a recording. Kind of gets in the way. So yeah, this hill is where it's all started, but this hill wasn't really a great location to build on. And so we crossed the river to do most of our building. And this bridge right here came about pretty late on in the series because I kept crossing the river right here to get back and forth to my starter hill to do my outros. And I got tired of swimming, so we finally built this little rope bridge. And I love this thing. I love how it turned out. I love the way it just sort of blends into the environment. And the way that the birch fences kind of give you the effect of some ropes holding this thing up. I really like the tree that we planted in the middle of the river and the way that it looks. So yeah, especially at night, the way that this thing is lit up with all the lanterns and everything, it's really cool. So I was really happy with this bridge. But then we cross the bridge and we come to our very first starter home. We built this house really early on. I guess this was technically our first build. I don't really call the little cave that we dug out over there a build. I don't consider the crops that we planted at the very beginning as a food source a build. This was really the very first build. And I love this house, guys. I am absolutely in love with this house. Part of it is just, I'll be honest, it's a matter of pride. I don't really consider myself a very good designer in Minecraft. I usually rely on other people's builds and ideas, but I designed this house myself from scratch, and I'm just so happy with how it turned out. And it's been a really good starter home. If we come inside, we've got our bookshelves, we've got our little sleeping area. There's another little chest over here that I've never really talked about, and I don't know what this junk is, honestly. I think it was just some old tools that I was getting rid of. We've got our little kitchen area. This is really where I've kicked up most of my food for the series. I'll throw in some steak or pork chops or whatever and just let them cook and then come back and get them later. And then our little storage room in the back here. I really thought that I would run out of storage space pretty early on and need to build a dedicated storage building, but that really hasn't happened yet. That said, I am running low on space. Each one of these chests is just about at capacity. I am really, really low on space. Every now and then I have to take some things out and shuffle them around, but this has been a really good storage room. As far as starter houses go and your little initial storage area, this has worked out really, really well. And then if we go down into the basement here, we've got our first little AFK fishing spot. I just dug this out one day because I wanted to do some AFK fishing. I didn't have the time to build like a dedicated fishing cabin. And so we just dug this out, built the little AFK fishing contraption, and we've used it to do a lot of AFK fishing. As you can see, we've got a ton of enchanted books, we've got tons and tons of fish, we've got a bunch of random items. One of the things I like about this area is I threw in a little cauldron with lava, so if we get a bunch of stuff that we don't need, like some of these bows or something with a curse on it, we can just chunk it in the lava and get rid of it. But then the outside of the house I'm also really happy with. I've got this little blacksmithing crafting area back here, and I'm pretty sure this anvil is where we've done all of our enchanting and repairs of all of our items. Obviously I've gone through a couple of anvils because they wear out, but the anvil in this spot is where I've done all of this sort of stuff. This is the blacksmithing table where I've upgraded all my gear to netherite gear. And so this is just another little cozy working area that really works with, I think, the layout and design of this house. And then in the back we've got a little garden with a little scarecrow, purely decoration, purely aesthetics. I've never once harvested these crops. That's not the point of this garden. It's just to make it feel homey and cozy. And then you do a 180 and right there across the river is our canal. So I've done a little bit of exploring by boat, and I keep my boat right over there, and so to get out and go that way or to the north or something, I always had to row that way to get around the island and come back around. It kind of got on my nerves, and so I dug out this little canal so we could get back and forth to this side of the ocean very easily by boat without having to row all the way around. And while we're on this side of the river, we'll just head over this way and take a look at our chicken coop. So I built this chicken coop, one, to just have to do something with this little beach that was over here. This whole thing used to be sand. It was ugly, it was barren. It's kind of too small to build a lot of things, and so I built this chicken coop, and it is a fully functional AFK egg farm. And so we've got a bunch of chickens inside that lay eggs. They get sucked up into the hopper, which deposits them in the chest. This thing fills up super fast. Like, I've never run out of eggs. I never use up all the eggs. I don't need this many eggs. It's really just for decoration, for show, to make it feel more like a farm. and I really like this design. I think it really did something with this little beach over here, turned it into something productive and beautiful. Right behind us is our very first wheat field. Getting started in the game, this was our supply of food. Planted a couple strips of wheat, let them grow, harvested them, planted a couple more, and just slowly grew it more and more and more. And even though we've got some crop fields over there now, this is really still where I get all of the wheat that I use to breed my cattle over there. And so that's why I'm still growing wheat over here. This is my cattle breeding wheat farm. So every now and then I'll come harvest all this wheat, replant it, breed my cattle, slaughter my cattle, and get some beef. And right behind me here, I don't know if I've ever really pointed out this room. This is kind of just a little safety place where if I'm over here when the sun sets, I have a bed where I can go ahead and sleep. But I've also used it to store some AFK fishing items, because before I built the AFK fish farm, I don't know if I ever mentioned this, I built a secret AFK fish farm back here. So between episodes I would do some AFK fishing just to get some more items, to get some bottles of water and some salmon and enchanted books and stuff like that. I also had a secret little enchanting room back here. I don't know if I filled it in. Yeah, it's still here. So I actually built a secret enchantment table long before I actually built my official enchantment table. Put some bookshelves in here, and that's how I was able to get a pickaxe with, I think I just enchanted it with efficiency 2 or 3 or something. And really the only reason I did that was because I was going to be mining obsidian, and I didn't want to take so long because mining obsidian is very slow, and so I wanted to have something to enchant with. So yeah, cat's out of the bag. Had some secret builds in here that I never pointed out on camera. And then right across the pond over here is where I've bred all of my cattle. So any leather, any beef that I've had in the game has pretty much come from these cows over here. Like I mentioned, sometimes I'll just come get some wheat, I'll breed them, I'll slaughter the adults, let the babies grow, and just rinse and repeat. And right behind that we have this little birch orchard, which I didn't really plant these for the birch trees. I planted these to get some bees because I wanted to build a bee farm, and I could not find a naturally generating bee nest. So we came back here, planted a bunch of birch saplings, put down some poppies next to them, and just let the game do its thing, because when a birch or oak tree generates within a few tiles, a few blocks of a flower, there's a small chance it will generate with a bee nest. And so we ended up getting a couple, got some bees, and were able to build our bee farm. And then right across the little river on this side, we've got, not again. No. Oh, come on. We've got our villager farm, which for some reason our villagers keep turning into zombies. I don't know what is going on with this thing. I added so much more lighting inside. I put down some lights over there by the water to try to prevent drown from spawn. I don't know how these guys are turning into zombies. If you guys have any ideas, if you've been able to reproduce this build and like pinpointed the problem and said this is why they keep turning into zombies, please let me know, because this is driving me nuts. But yeah, this is our villager farm. This is where we would come and breed villagers. It's how we got our mending villager. We would come and trade a bunch of crops to the farmers in here for emeralds. But now they're zombies. I'm gonna have to fix that at some point. And heading back towards the main little island over here. Before we head back, there's this tower looking thing up here on the hill. This is our phantom trap. So we built this to be able to easily trap and kill phantoms, which will only spawn at night after you have been awake for 3 days. And they're kind of a pain to kill because they spawn way above you, they swoop down, they attack you, and then swoop back up. You only have like 1 or 2 shots at them, and it's just really annoying. So we built this thing. You come inside, you fly up to the top. The phantoms spawn above you, they swoop down, and our secret weapon is way down at the bottom, underground where you can't see it, is a cat. And it's spaced out perfectly so that just before the phantom reaches you, he gets scared off by the cat, flies up, gets stuck on top by all these fence gates, and you can just take your time just sitting here offing him over and over until he dies. So this is how I've gotten all of the phantom membranes in my world, is with this awesome little phantom trap. To get down, hit the button, you fall through, and land safely. So there's our kitty. Who's a good kitty? You're such a good kitty. Now right below this thing, we've got this awesome little cave entrance. This is one of the things we built pretty early on, and we built this little bridge to get across to it. This was really just an expedient to get across the river. It wasn't its own dedicated build. Threw this thing together really fast. The point was getting over here to this cave. So go into this cave, come down this way. We'll go that way in a second, but first I want to go to the left. If you go down to the left, you just keep on going all the way down to Y11. And this is where I've done all of my strip mining. So strip mining is absolutely the way to go to get lots and lots of diamonds. You just start digging in a straight line as far as you want, turn around, come back down the next branch, and you just keep going back and forth. You find so many diamonds doing this, and it's very easy, very safe. You don't have to worry about spawns or winding caves and getting lost. And I've got a little, I don't know, living area down here. I don't know why, like, I don't think I've ever slept down here. I don't know. And the strip mines start going back that way too, because I was going pretty far in that direction and I kind of wanted to keep all the mining directly under my base. Oh, and I forgot one other thing down here in the strip mines. I don't know that I've ever shown this on camera. I actually have 2 beacons, and I built the other one way down here in the strip mine so that anytime I'm doing some strip mining, I'll come down and I'll set this one to haste 2, and with my efficiency 5, I guess efficiency 4. With my efficiency 4 pickaxe, I can just insta-mine all this stuff. So mining is super duper quick. And so there's my second beacon down there, which extends all the way up to the surface. So head back up these stairs and go down the other way, and we end up in our enchanting room. And I really like the way that this thing turned out. You can see all the portals back behind the walls. I actually have, I think, 4 or 5 nether portals in this room. And most of them are just behind the walls. I use some slabs and some stairs to create these sort of cracks and openings, and that's purely for the visual effect. I don't use those portals to go to the nether. This is the one that I use to get to the nether, and the whole point was to make this room feel like this old decaying magical room that the walls have started to fall down and there's these portals behind them, and just, yeah, I don't know, I really like it. And right in the middle of it all is our enchanting table. All you need to get the full level 30 enchantments for this thing is to have 15 bookshelves around it, which I was able to do by just stacking a few of them, and so it's not completely surrounded, which lets us get back and forth through this thing. So I love this room. This is where we've done almost all of our enchanting, except for the ones I did in secret. And this is how we get back and forth to the nether. So coming back out of our cave system and crossing the bridge, we've got our little auto smelter and auto smoker right here. Having an auto smelter in your world is an absolute must. These things are great. You just open the top, put a bunch of stuff that you want to smelt in there. These things go down into some furnaces where it all just smelts up and then gets dropped off in the chest down below. Even though there's a lot of stone and smooth stone in here, I really haven't used this particular auto smelter all that much. Same thing with the auto smoker. This ended up being more of just kind of a cosmetic build. I do have some other auto smelters in the world that I've used a lot more than this one, but the whole concept of an auto smelter is definitely something that you want to have in your world. And right next to this is one of our more recent builds. It's our auto boat dispenser. So I used to just have my boat sitting here and I would come and take it out for a spin, come back, drop it off. But every now and then some mobs would get stuck in my boat and I had to deal with the mobs before I could get in the boat. So we built this thing. You push the button, you get a boat, you go do your thing. When you're done, you come back and drop it off right here. And you break it down and it gets sucked up back into the dropper. When I originally built this thing, I used a pressure plate to activate it, and one time between episodes I came by and there were 3 boats stacked up. Because even though I didn't think I would ever accidentally trip this thing, I forgot that mobs can trip pressure plates, and so I think spiders and skeletons and drown had been stepping on the pressure plate and all my boats had gotten spit out, so I replaced it with the button to be a little bit safer. Heading back around this way, we have our map wall. So these are the maps of my base and the surrounding areas. I have not fully explored all the way around this thing. Eventually I would like to. I just haven't really gotten around to it, but I have fully explored this central map, which has my base on it. So my base is right there. It's the little sideways arrow. You can't really see a lot of detail about it, but if you go around to the other side, I have a level 1 map of the entire base. In fact, I have 4 level 1 maps, and you can actually see some pretty good detail. You can see the beacon right there. You can see the tree farm, the sheep farm up there. Yeah, I like having the level 1 map up for decoration. I need to move this somewhere where I can actually see it more, because you don't really see it on the back here, and I think it looks really cool. Maybe I'll build a map room at some point. That'd be cool. And then right next to our little map wall is our awesome tree house. This is where I put my mending villager. I actually turned him into a mending villager way off in the distance somewhere, really far away from any other job sites, so that he wouldn't like try to bind to a smithing table or something like that. Once I got the mending villager, who sells actual books of mending, then I brought him back here, built this tree house, and moved him up here. He is trapped up here. He can't get down. He's got a bed where he can sleep. He's got a podium or a lectern where he can work. And anytime I need some mending books, I just come give him a couple emeralds, get a mending book, and leave him alone. So don't interact with him too much, but definitely need a mending villager in your world. And I really, really like this tree house. I've never built a tree house before, but I really like how this one turned out. And then right across from our mending villager, we have our sugarcane farm. So it took a lot of sugarcane to build this thing, which I got all this initially by just planting some sugarcane along the river over there, growing it. Once I had enough, I came over and built this thing. And sugarcane has to be planted next to water. And so I secretly have some water underneath all these slabs. You can actually waterlog slabs, but then by putting the slabs over them, you don't have to worry about falling into the water, but it allows the sugarcane to grow. And so I really like this thing because I feel like it has sort of a Zen feng shui sort of sand garden vibe to it. And so every now and then I'll just come in here and I'll just run through, chop down all the sugarcane except for the very bottom layer, round it all up, and just put it in the chest over here that has all my sugarcane in it. I think this is one of the reasons why my chests in my house haven't filled up. It's because I have all these other little chests all throughout my world with sugarcane and crops and wheat and a bunch of other stuff. So I have a lot more storage than just what's in my house. Right past my sugarcane farm is my crop farm, and this is where I've gotten pretty much all of my crops for this game, for this world. So every now and then I'll just come through, harvest all these things, replant them, and anything I have left over, I'll temporarily store in this chest, but every now and then I'll take them and sell them to the farmer villagers when they're not zombies and get lots and lots of emeralds. This is also where I put my bees, and so in this chest over here I've got some shears. Every now and then I'll just get my shears, come shear these beehives, get the honey, and put the honey back in the chest. But really, it's not about the honey. It's about having the bees fly over your crops and pollinate them. So by having some flowers on the outside, the bees are attracted to the flowers, they'll nuzzle up to the flowers for a little bit, and then they'll fly back to the beehive and they'll drip like nectar or pollen or something over the crops as they fly over them, and it makes them grow a lot faster. We don't really need that, but it's kind of cool, and it's a fun feature of the game, and if you're going to be building beehives, you might as well put them in your crop farm. And then right across the river over here, we have one of our more recent builds, which is our official fishing cabin. And so I did all of my initial AFK fishing in the little fishing spot under my cabin, under my house, but eventually I came back and built this thing. So this is now where I do my AFK fishing. So you come inside, there's a little fishing station. I've got my fishing pole above the door, and this thing is as good as you're gonna get. And the idea is you stand here, you aim right above this thing, you turn on your auto clicker, and you just start fishing. And it's just going to keep on fishing, keep collecting stuff. The items get pulled into a chest down here. And I've already started to sort some of these things out into some of the barrels that are around the top. I've got some enchanted books over here and some fishing poles and stuff. So we've got loads and loads of storage in this room, but you can't really tell because it's just part of the building. So I really like this fishing cabin. I was really happy with how this turned out. Circle around to the other side of our crops, and we have our cocoa bean farm. So I spent so long looking for cocoa beans because this is the only way I know of to get brown dye. And for so long I had all of the other dye colors except brown because I couldn't find a jungle to get some cocoa beans. So once I finally found a jungle, I brought back the cocoa beans, built this little cocoa bean farm where I could grow these cocoa beans, and I have not touched it since then because aside from getting some brown dye, and there's really not a whole lot you can do with cocoa beans. You can make cookies with them, but I don't, so it's fun, it's cool, I don't use it. Moving on. come up the stairs here. I do like this little back entrance to the crop farm and to get up to the AFK, XP farm, that's what it's called. This is where I planted all the bamboo, so I also found this in the jungle biome, brought it back and planted it so it grows. Every now and then I'll just come over here and chop down the bamboo, collect the bamboo, put it in my storage room, and just let it keep growing. I thought about eventually building like an organized bamboo farm, but I don't really have any plans to do that right now. But more importantly, you come up here and we have our wonderful, wonderful XP farm. So I built this thing, I guess about halfway through the series, because I was going to be doing a lot of enchanting, which burns through a lot of levels, and I needed a way to quickly get a lot more levels. And so we built this thing, and it's not really working anymore. Like, I haven't taken the time to debug it and figure out why. But like the kelp in the top, if I turn this thing on, the idea is you've got all these pistons that break the kelp and get sucked up by the hoppers and goes into the smokers, and it's supposed to immediately regrow, but it's not regrowing anymore. And so I don't know if something, like if a recent patch fixed something about the game that made it not work anymore, or if like the sand inside fell down. I don't know. I haven't taken it apart to look into it, because really the kelp on the top isn't, that's not the point of this farm. The point is the smokers right here. So once these things smoke up lots and lots of kelp, you get all this XP banked up in the smoker, and you can get it out by flipping the little lever, which I guess it's off right now. Now it's on. It will pull the kelp down and start smelting it. You turn the lever off again so it doesn't automatically pull the kelp out. So whenever you collect it, you get a lot of the banked up XP. I mean, look at that. I'm level 52 right now, and I take this guy out, 54. I just got 2 levels from doing that. Take this one out and get another 2 levels. And I'm level 55. Like, it takes a lot of XP to advance the level where I'm at, and there's so much XP banked up in this thing, which is why I haven't really bothered trying to figure out what's going on with the kelp, because I can just get some more kelp and put it in there and get all the XP I need. So I haven't bothered fixing it. But right next to our XP farm is this monstrosity, which, if we go inside, is our iron farm. And as far as productivity goes, this has probably been one of the most useful builds in my entire series. This has given us access to unlimited iron. So up on top, which you can't see, I've got 20 fletching villagers. They've got fletching tables. They make bows and arrows. I don't know what you call them. And 20 beds, and basically the game thinks that this is like a mini village. And so it spawns iron golems, and the iron golems get pushed down to this little kill chamber. The lava eventually dispatches them. They drop iron, which gets sucked up by the hoppers and goes into this chest. Every now and then I'll come and clear this thing out, turn all the iron bars into iron blocks, and transfer them over here. So yeah, you can see from just how many iron blocks I've gotten here, I have gotten thousands and thousands of iron from this farm. So I never have to worry about iron ever again. You also get a lot of cats because, again, the game thinks that this is a village and villages spawn cats. And so I've been able to tame some of these cats and position them around my base to use in my phantom trap and scare away creepers. So cats are a really useful ally to have in the game, and we can get all the cats we need from this farm. Moving along, if we head back towards our base, over here on the left, kind of tucked back in this little corner, is our auto composter. So we built this at the same time as we built our auto smelter and auto smoker, and this one actually do use quite a lot. So same idea, you put some sort of organic materials in the top. It can be flowers, it can be crops, it can be anything that you can put into a composter. It goes into the composter down here, which then gets turned into bone meal and dropped into the chest in the bottom. I've also just been using this to store a bunch of excess bones that I've got, which I can turn into bone meal. So this is just my bone meal chest. And our iron farm actually produces lots and lots of poppies, which can be composted into bone meal. So every now and then I'll just grab some poppies, throw them in there, and get another stack or 2 of free bone meal, which we can use. And then right behind our crop farm is this beauty, our potion making machine. As far as aesthetics go, it could use some love. It's not the most beautiful building, it's just kind of a giant box. But as far as usefulness, this is, I think, after my iron farm, this is like the most practical build that I have in my world. I love this thing so much. Potion making is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of tedious. There's a lot of different types of potions that you can make, and you have to remember the order to do things and what things result in what potions and how you can enhance them and all that. This takes a lot of the mystery out. So you just come over here. This thing is auto-loaded with water bottles. As soon as you take one out, it automatically gets a new water bottle in it. And you just start by adding some nether wart. You pick what type of potion you want to make. So let's say a strength potion. And you don't have to remember how you make a strength potion. You just look at this and say, oh, that's strength. So I'll click that button and get a strength potion. And do you want to extend the duration of that potion? Do you want to enhance it and make it more powerful? Do you want to turn it into a splash potion? And it's just all right there at your fingertips, and you don't have to worry about adding the next ingredient manually. It just auto brews potions, and it's fantastic. And then I keep all of my excess potions right below it in this chest down here. So I absolutely love this build. It has been so useful. And then on top of it is my nether wart farm. So I brought back some nether wart from the nether, and every now and then I'll come harvest this stuff. And for now I'm just storing it in my potion vending machine because it can be used to make potions. But I also use this stuff to make red nether bricks. That's just kind of the best place to store it for now. So yeah, love the potion machine. Use this thing all the time. I am going to be building a lot more of these in the future. And if we head down this way, we come to our sheep farm. So our sheep farm has one of every color sheep you can make. I think there's 15 or 16 different colors. There's an observer in the ground that looks at the block below them. As soon as they eat grass to grow their wool, the dispenser above them shears them. The wool drops on the ground. And then there's a minecart running below them which collects all the wool and drops it off into a hopper somewhere. Every now and then I need to come down here because the minecart has stopped running, and I just have to give it a nudge to get it going again. I don't know why that happens, but you may just want to check on your minecart every now and then, make sure it's still running. Originally, I just had it all being dumped into a chest, and I would come over here periodically and just manually move all the wool into separate chests sorted by color. That was tedious, it was boring, and so eventually we built this awesome auto sorter. So now all the wool gets dropped off underground, goes into this water elevator, gets carried through this auto sorting system, and gets automatically deposited into each chest depending on its color. So I never have to auto sort any of the wool ever again. This ended up in the wrong one, which I think was my fault. I don't know. I'll have to come back and check this again because it might be broken. But yeah, it auto sorts my wool for me so I don't have to do it manually. Every now and then I've got this little overflow chest. I don't know why stuff ends up in here, but sometimes it just doesn't get picked up in the chest it's supposed to go in. So I'll come pick this up and distribute it to the chest where it's supposed to go. But other than that, this thing is completely automated. And you can use this exact same auto sorting system for anything. It doesn't have to be wool. You could use it for like iron and gold and diamonds. You could use it for your storage building. It's a really good, convenient auto sorting system. And then if we go up behind our auto sorter, we get to our tree farm back here. And so this is where I've grown all of the trees that I use to get wood for projects and builds and whatnot. As I went out exploring and found different biomes, and I found dark oak, I found spruce trees, I found acacia trees, I would bring back some saplings and plant them back here. And that way I've got all the different wood at my fingertips right here. And then recently we built this actual tree farm orchard thing where I could grow oak and birch much more quickly and conveniently. I like the way it looks and I like the practicality of it, but I unfortunately made a mistake building it and the walls are a little bit too close, and so it takes tons and tons of bone meal to get the trees on the outside to actually grow. And so I may come back and fix that at some time, but for now I don't know, it looks like a really cool orchard, so I still like it. So that's pretty much my base. One last thing over here that we skipped over is our monorail. So we've got a platform on this side that we can go up into. We hop in the minecart, hit the button, and off we go. And this monorail will take us all the way back to the very first cave system that we found early on in the game. Not because it's a wonderful cave system with a lot of lush resources or anything like that, but because we found a wonderful find in the cave systems. We found a skeleton spawner. And so to easily get back and forth between our base and our skeleton spawner, we built this monorail so we don't have to remember the coordinates or directions or anything. We just hop in this thing and it takes us all the way back to our skeleton farm. So here we go. I still have not finished this end of it. I'll get to it someday. But yeah, we go down this ladder and now we are in our skeleton farm. So there is the skeleton spawner in that dark room. It's dark enough that the spawner will spawn skeletons, which should happen any minute now. Go. Go. Spawn. Do it now. Come on. I'm on camera. You're making me look bad. There we go. Okay, wow, that was a lot of skeletons. So the spawner spawns skeletons. The water pushes them off into this little trough, which carries them down to this water elevator, which shoots them up above the surface, carries them over, and eventually drops them down to this little block right here. The height of this thing was set up in such a way that when they land, it damages them so much that they only have 1 hit point left, so I can literally just hit them with anything and they'll die. And that way we don't have to use up a lot of durability on our tools to kill these skeletons. We just pop them, they drop their stuff. There's a hopper under there which puts everything into the chest. And so the main reason for this farm was to get all the bones. A side effect is we also get a lot of arrows and we get a lot of XP. So we can use this to heal any of our mending equipment or just level up. But really, if I want XP, I'll just use my XP farm. The real point of this farm is all the bones that you get from skeletons. So that pretty much covers everything at our base in the overworld. So now we can go back to our nether portal room and hop over to the nether and see what we've got on that side. So you come out of the nether portal and immediately find yourself in this amazing nether hub room. So this thing is built way up at the very top of the nether. You can see my Y coordinate, I'm at 113. That's the bedrock, which is at the very top of the nether. You can't go any higher than that. And the reason that we picked this height is because it's mostly netherrack up here. You're not going to run into a lot of lava lakes or big open areas. And so it allowed us to build these tunnels which go really far in different directions, because traveling through the nether is really the fastest way to travel through the overworld. And so these different tunnels allow us to get to other places in the overworld very, very quickly, more quickly than traveling on foot. But before we head down any of them, let's hop over here into our little nether workroom. And so this is kind of a little safety area. There's no bed because beds explode in the nether, and that would be bad, but we do have a crafting table, we've got some furnaces, we've got a bunch of chests for storage, we've got another chest, and it just looks really nice. This is a nice little workroom where we can do some stuff in the nether and then hop back out into either one of the tunnels, or we can take this ladder all the way down to like the main part of the nether where we can collect resources or go fight mobs or do stuff. But the real reason that we built this nether hub was to get to other areas in the overworld a lot more quickly. So let's start by heading west and we'll see where this takes us. So the western portal, of course, takes us to our Badlands outpost. So I found the Badlands actually pretty early on when exploring. I saw it way off in the distance and didn't actually come and explore this area until much later. And it's nighttime, so I'm going to go sleep really fast. So yeah, the Badlands are cool because it's just absolutely filled with terracotta. Terracotta is a really good block to use in a lot of different builds. There's also a lot of gold and a lot of other really useful resources in the Badlands. But it's not a very beautiful area. It's kind of ugly. It's not very safe because it's just wide open, and so all these mobs spawn at night and can kill you. So we built this little outpost out here, put some greenery, put some trees, put some plants and flowers and stuff in here, and just kind of brought some life to it. And I really like the way that this thing looks from above. So if we go out in this area, do some exploring, come back to our outpost, you just have this nice little oasis, this nice little mesa of life and beauty in this otherwise desolate, barren wasteland area. I don't know. So I haven't been out here very much since I built it, but it's nice to have for when we do need to come back to the Badlands. And then back in our nether hub, if we now head east, we'll find this wonderful little ice road. And so the ice road is a really fast way to travel through the nether. And traveling through the nether is already a lot faster than traveling through the overworld, but building ice roads like this just makes it even faster. because we can get from one end of the nether to the other very, very quickly, which is great for covering really long distances in the overworld. We're talking like 10,000 blocks in a matter of maybe a minute. So take this ice road all the way to the end here. We've got another little tunnel. I may eventually end up turning that ice road and bring it this way, because this is kind of, it's not far to go on foot, but we built an ice road to get out here. We might as well take it all the way to the portal. So we've got a portal at the very end, which takes us to the jungle biome. So we spent a lot of time looking for this jungle biome. You can look at my coordinates up there. I'm at 8,000 in the X direction. This thing was really, really far away. We came out here, we got some wood, we got some cocoa beans, we got some saplings, and then we went home. So I haven't actually built anything out here. I don't, right now I don't have any plans to build anything out here. It was really just to find the resources that the jungle has to offer. So yeah, that's the jungle. Going back. And then back in our Nether Hub, we have one more tunnel to explore, and that's the one that goes south. So we've got another ice road. This one's not nearly as long because where I ended up taking this one wasn't as far away. It's only about 300 or 400 blocks long, I believe. Yeah, so we reach the end of this thing, hop through another portal, which is right here, and we end up in our winter wonderland. So this was my Christmas special. I had so much fun building this thing. This was a really fun episode. We've got our Christmas trees, we've got our snowmen, we've got our candy canes, we've got our blinking Christmas lights, we've got an igloo where we can sleep and craft stuff. We've got little maps over here. This is just a really fun area. It doesn't serve a practical purpose, but I mean, it's a video game. You don't have to do things because they make sense. You do them because they're fun. So yeah, that is the world that we've spent the past several months building, and I am really, really happy with this world. I played this world in a way that I've never played Minecraft before. I usually just kind of go straight for, you know, mining, getting some diamonds, getting some enchanted gear, going and finding the Ender Dragon. I don't really spend a lot of time building things and decorating and making it feel homey, but I did for this series, and I had so much fun. I hope you guys had fun watching it. Some of you sent me some pictures of some of your builds that were inspired by this series, and I absolutely love those. Thank you so much for sending me those. It really fills me with joy and happiness to see other people enjoying this series and following along. So thank you for that. So what would I say is my favorite build? I don't know. Like every week I think about that, and it kind of changes from week to week. I think most practical is got to be my iron farm. That thing has just, it completely changed the game to not have to worry about iron anymore for tools and equipment and just other building items like stone cutters and stuff. So having an unlimited supply of iron is absolutely a must-have. But a second runner-up, a very, very close runner-up, is definitely my potion machine. This thing is so handy in making all the different types of potions very, very easily. I probably would not bother with potions as much if I didn't have this thing. So I think those two are definitely my most practical builds that I'm going to be reusing in any future series that I make. As far as what I think is the most beautiful, most aesthetically pleasing build, I've got to go with my starter home. Like I said, I love how this thing turned out. I'm really happy that it's my design, and it's just, I can't think of anything that I would do differently for this house. I really, really like it. So this is probably my favorite aesthetic build. And then I have to say, as far as just doing something different, I really like the treehouse over here. It was just kind of a spur of the moment idea to build this thing. I didn't really know where to put my mending villager. This was maybe, I think it was meant to be kind of a temporary solution until I built more of a villager trading post or something. But I really like this treehouse, and I want to build more treehouses in the future now. And so I think this is kind of my favorite sort of kooky build that I ended up just keeping. So that is going to wrap up our world tour. Thank you guys so much for watching. It has been such a fun journey, and I have really enjoyed all the support, all the encouragement, all the wonderful comments from everybody. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you enjoyed this world tour. This is certainly not the end of my series, but I do have to take a short break while we move to a new state, new job, new area, new everything. It's going to take some time, so unfortunately I will be unavailable for a couple of weeks. But I do have plans for what to do next after this, so stay tuned, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and then you'll get notified the moment I come back and start delivering great content for you guys again. And I would love to hear what you think are some of your favorite builds in this world. So drop a comment, send me an email, however you want to get in touch with me. Let me know what you think are some of the best builds in the series. And keep sending me your screenshots. I would love to see what you guys are working on. And maybe I'll get some inspiration from some of you for later on in my series. So thanks for watching, guys, and have a great day.